Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode on my channel. Today I'm doing all the books I read in 2023. There are 76 books that I have read or will be. I am filming this a week in advance, so I have one book that I will be reading that obviously I haven't read yet, so I can't give it a rating, but the rest of these books all have ratings. But these are the books that I have read. So without further ado, let's get started. So first off, I have A Tale of Witchcraft by Chris Colfer. This book was 3 stars. This series holds a special place in my heart for the mere fact that it is by this author, because it was my first ever love with the series ever. And this is the prequel to it. It's a prequel series. And honestly, I was just kind of disappointed. The first one was 4 stars. I read that last year. And this one is just kind of a letdown. So that's that book. And then I read A Tale of Sorcery. This was a very, very low 3 stars. I did not like it at all. This plot was just kind of low. I don't like how they brought, they made the deal with death and finding it, I didn't love that plot point. It didn't suit the series. This one barely did, but it still did, and I liked it. This one it's a low 3 star, and Chris Colfer said he's gonna write more. I don't think I'll be reading it if he does. Then, to get out of this, I went back to one of my favorite books of 2021-2022, which is Ban This Book. I obviously read it at 5 stars, as I have every time I've read this book. I love it. This doesn't count as first 5 star of the year, though, because I knew for a fact that it would be a 5 star. But this book is basically, and then goes in the store to get, or the library, sorry, to get her favorite book, and it's been banned from the library. And she's on her way to tell and make a point that no one has the right to ban books, because it's up to that child, the people reading it, the parents, etc., what you can and cannot read. So I have that book. That doesn't count as first 5 stars of the year, even though it is a 5 star. Then we have Matilda. I had realized that I had never actually read Matilda, but I had the BFG on my shelf from Roald Dahl, and my sister bought the box set, so I borrowed a book from her just to test out his writing style. I read intense fantasy, so this obviously was not the book for me. It was cute, though. I definitely see the point of it. I rated it 3 stars, but it's like just a middle book kind of thing. Then we have SEO Trot, and I was confused the whole time I read it. It took me 15-20 minutes to read. It's only 70 pages long. But I was confused the whole time I was reading this book. It definitely wasn't for me. It was definitely for people more as my sister's age. But yeah, so this was a 1 star for me. Then we have The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, which was a mistake to read in January. I feel like it would have been better if I read it in the summer, because it takes place in the summer, and the next ones I'm definitely going to be reading during the summer, because I have all these books, but I didn't finish the series because I specifically am choosing to read the rest of them during the summer. So I have that. Of the Traveling Pants was a 3 star book. Then I have Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. This book is a 4 star, which I had expected, because I think in school in grade 6 we read half of it, and I wanted to finish it, so I got a copy. Then I read Goldilocks Wanted Dead or Alive. Now, I don't normally read graphic novels, but again, this was by Chris Colfer. I love this series, holds a special place in my heart. I will buy any book in this series. The Land of Stories one, because I actually love it. I think it's hilarious and cute, and this was $9 on Book Outlet. And so I bought it. I read it in one sitting because it doesn't take me very long. It took me about an hour and a half to read. But yeah, this was a 4 stars. There's something about graphic novels that's just a quick read that holds special places in your heart series there's something else about them. So I have that. Then I have The Very, Very Far North, which I actually got from the library, so I don't have it with me. This book, it's cute, but it's only 2 stars. There's nothing much to say about it. It's just a simple 2-star read. Then I have Augie and Me, which is 3 Wonder Stories. I actually got this from the library, and then I found it while thrifting, so I bought it. But this book, it's so cute. It has, like, the characters. One's Julian, one is Jack, who was Augie's best friend, and one is Claire, what's her name? Charlotte. So this book was cute, simple read. Then we have the first 5-star book of the year, Daughter of the Pirate King. I actually didn't know how I would feel about this going in, because I knew it was fantasy, but I had never read anything with pirates in it, and that was like, oh, I don't know, like the summary wasn't super interesting, but it was interesting enough. So I got it from the library, and I actually had to buy it. Get straight into the story. This book is actually amazing. I read it in a couple minutes. I was in a book slump when I read it. Got me a couple minutes in, and I was halfway through the book. Got you very easily out of the world and into this one. It was super easy to understand, no big words, nothing. And I think that was what I needed after being in a book slump. So I had Daughter of the Pirate King. Then I read Love, Stargirl, because I could not for the life of me get Daughter of the Siren Queen. And the only reason why is because the ebook from the library was taken. So while waiting for that, I read Love, Stargirl. This was a 3-star. Like just a classic simple middle 3-star, and the reason why is actually because it's letters, and I did not love the letters, just the letter format. Didn't love how it was written, but I also am glad that I read it because it's just a cute little read. Didn't take me very long, so I have that. Then I read Daughter of the Siren Queen as an ebook, and I'm actually gonna buy the paperback because I want to reread that this year. Oh, because I love that series. That series is one of my favorites by far. Then I have Counting by Sevens, which was a 2-star. It felt too long. Now I can understand how you would like it. I can. The book just was not for me at all. It just wasn't, and I'm not going to pretend that it was. It was just meh. I didn't like it. It had no calling to me, but yeah, so I don't have that. Then I read Divergent. This book was a 4-star book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was my first dystopian book from this time period, and I ended up reading quite a few popular books from around this time period this year. But yeah, this is a really, really good book, and I would highly recommend it. And then I read Insurgent, again, 4 stars, an amazing book. And this is the last one of this series I would recommend that you read, because there's Allegiant. Funny story about Allegiant. It sucked. It was slow. It made no sense to the story, added no plot. The ending was horrendous. It was terrible. I absolutely hated it. So, yeah, I wouldn't read this book. It's really not necessary. Like, you could probably end it with this. It has a happy enough ending with not too much of a cliffhanger that you don't have to read this. I kind of stood in my room staring at a wall when I finished it. Like, what did I just read? It took me a few moments to digest it. Got my friend to read it. Talked about it to her. We both agree you should leave this one alone and not read it. Then I wanted this one I read specifically for my cousin, because I had it and I was wondering if I could recommend it to her, because she's very much into like romance kind of books, but she's younger than me, so I didn't want to give her a young adult one. But I had The Boy Project, which I don't currently have with me. It's in my like a storage closet. It's a 3-star. It's forgettable. It's a low 3-star. It's basically about a girl who was trying to find a boyfriend because everyone has one, and she like does no, it's weird, but you know, that's fine. Then I read drama because I was going on a trip and I wanted to read a book the night before without starting. I don't know why I didn't just start it, but I knew this would only take me an hour, so I read Drama by Raina Telgemeier. It's a 3-star book every time I read it. Most Raina Telgemeier books, they're all graphic novels, are normally just 3 stars, sometimes 2. Normally 3 though. So I have that. Then we have The Cruel Prince. Oh, I did not know what I got myself into when I read these books. This series is a 6-star series. I love this series so much. So I read that and I loved it. 6 stars through and through. Then I read The Lost Sisters, which is the novella, and when I tell you don't read it, I mean don't read it, because it tries so hard to make you like a character, and you're just not gonna, like, it doesn't help at all. So I would not read that book. It kind of sucked. I rated it 2 stars. Don't. It honestly makes it worse how this character justifies what the character did. Like, it makes it so much worse, so I really wouldn't read that. Then I read The Wicked King. Once again, 6-star book. I love this series so much. It is amazing. This book is great. Now, a lot of people say the series is romance. It's not. It has bits and pieces, and honestly that makes you want it more, and that's why I love this book series. I'm very much more into fantasy politics, but just with a little bit of, you know, a little bit of romance. I love this book so much, so I have that. Then I read Queen of Nothing. I actually sobbed while reading this book. Like, tears were coming out of my face. Could not stop reading it, could not put it down, ended up staying up till 3 a.m. finishing it, needing more of this world and these characters. So I immediately went to the store and bought How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. This is a 5-star, not 6-star, but it gave me the last little taste that I'm probably ever gonna get of these characters, and it makes me so sad. I am actually so sad that this is it, because it's just an amazing book. I love these books. Then I read Because of Winn-Dixie, because those books made me go into a book slump, and I didn't read for like a week, and I just needed a quick book that I knew wouldn't be any higher than 3 stars, because for some reason knowing that this isn't going to be more than 3 stars helps me get through it, because I'm not expecting anything from it. I read it in a couple sittings, you know, it was fine. It didn't take me too long. 3 stars, surprising. Then I read the Caraval trilogy. So I read Caraval, which I don't have with me, I got it from my library, but it was 4.5 stars. Love that book. I'm gonna buy a physical copy of it. Then I got Legendary, which was also 4.5 stars. I actually love Legendary. I love this series. It's so whimsical and cute. And then I read Finale, which was a 4.25 stars. I don't know, the way it ended was kind of strange. Then I read The Mixed Up Files from Mrs. Basil E. Frankenwheeler, which I only read because of Ban This Book. That's the only reason I read it. But I wasn't gonna sit here and complain about it, so I read that. And then I read, that's a 3-star, by the way. Then I read Fish in a Tree. This is about a girl who has severe dyslexia but doesn't know about it. It was a 3-star book. But I can see how people would absolutely fall in love with this book because it's cute, it's simple, and this author will probably be an Insta buy for me, or at least one of them, because her books are like, you kind of forget about them, but they're still memorable and they would still impact people. And I think that that's a good thing about this author specifically. So I enjoyed that. Then I read The Hunger Games. Oh my goodness, this book. This book series is so good. So this is a 4-star book. It's a 4-star series, or at least the trilogy's 4-star. All the book, like, this is a 4-star book. I don't know, I had never read it before, and so it was actually shocking, some of this. I knew she would live because obviously other books had come out, so I knew she was gonna live. Did not know what was gonna happen. Never in my life heard Peeta, Gale, Katniss, etc., etc., until I read this book. And my friend had been telling me, read that book, and I read it. I'm so glad I did. It's cute. I don't know if I'll read it again. I probably will at some point, but this book is so good. Then I read Catching Fire, again, 4-star book, 4.5 star, honestly. This one is probably one of my favorites. Peeta's drop. Oh God, like, this book was so good. This is 4.5. It's not 5, it's it might be a 5-star. Not a 6-star, but probably is a 5-star, honestly. Then I got The Mockingjay. This was a 4-star, but like, not Hunger Games 4-star. It was like lower 4, like, you know, the scales of 4. This was on a lower 4. It wasn't as good. I still really liked it. It's still a 4-star. I don't understand, like, I don't get why people would bash this book so hard and love this one. I don't get it. I spent 8 hours reading this book. This book put me in a book slump. I could not get through it. I had to leave my house and go somewhere to finish this book because there was literally anything else made me want to read this book. It was a low 3 stars, and the only reason it was low is because I can see how people would like it, but I feel like they prolong every scene way too long, and I couldn't do it. So that was that book. Then, to help me get out of it, I read Straight On Till Morning by Liz Braswell from my library, which is a Peter Pan switch, and it was if Captain Hook had brought Wendy. It was a 3-star book. It wasn't anything special, but it was still good. And then I read Who Could That Be at This Hour to get through a book real quick, and that was a 2-star book. It wasn't good. I'm not even gonna pretend that it was. Then I had a bit of an adventure. My friend had reached Twilight, and she said she would read The Cruel Prince if I read it, so I did. Oh, my standards went in books to rate them went down while I read these, and I don't know how to explain it, but it did, because this book got it to 3 stars, like a middle, like a little bit lower than middle 3-star. I don't know. It was strange. I won't lie about it. It was strange. I don't know how you can fall for a guy without knowing him, and also how toxic Edward is. But I continued. So I then read New Moon. This was a 3-star. This went up to 3.5 after I read this book. I think about it, it should have been a 2, but it's a 3. Why is it a 3? Because the rest of this series is not anywhere compared to some of the books. Like, I smash on it, but honestly, it wasn't badly written. There were certain moments that made me go, no, why would you like, what is happening? Stuff like that. Don't love the series, I probably won't reread this, let's be honest. But it's a 3-star, okay? The movies are now comfort movies because they're hilarious to watch. So I want the books, but like, I'm probably not rereading this. Then we have Eclipse. This was also a 3 stars. This one isn't as bad as New Moon. I don't know, there was something about New Moon that made me cringe really, really hard. And also, this made me cringe really hard. Like, what is this? But it's okay. I read it. It was fine. It wasn't good, but it was fine. It was just a 3-star. And this is where I think the standards went down, because somehow Breaking Dawn was the best of all 4. I would argue for that, because at least there was a plot. Like, all three of these books is just Bella obsessing over Edward, which it still is in the other one. I'm not lying about that. But like, this one, he almost, like, there's really not much of a plot in any of these books. So it was kind of boring and just got prolonged. Like, that was too long. But this one at least had a plot. That name is so bad, and the movie name is bad, but it's still a 4-star because it's better than the rest of them. So I do have that, and I got it on sale. I did not buy any of these books full price. I was not spending $23 on a paperback of this book. I bought it off Book Outlet for like $9. Take that as you want, but I did read the Twilight books this year. That was an experience. And then I read 4 by Veronica Roth. Just so I could say that I finished all the Divergent books, because her writing I liked, the world I liked, the characters I wrote, I liked. However, I do think that if you're gonna read this book, read it after Insurgent, or if you want like kind of a spoiler from Insurgent, read it in between them if you're okay with kind of a spoiler. It's not like too spoily, but like it's still gonna spoil it. So I honestly think that you should read the chapters that they repeat here and the rest of the book there. So that. Then I have 5-star books. It took me so long to get to another 5-star. Dance of Thieves. I actually ate this book up. I loved it. It was really good. It was the first forced proximity book I read. I love fantasy books like this. I think the enemies to lovers part went really fast, and now that I'm reading it, honestly, I don't think any enemies to lovers is gonna top The Cruel Prince for me. I don't think that'll ever happen. But I did read The Cruel Prince, and then I read I did read Dance of Thieves, and then I read Vow of Thieves. These books are good. This was a 4.75 and this was a 5-star. I love these books. I will reread them soon, but I want to read The Kiss of Deception before I reread Dance of Thieves. Then I read Paper Towns, rated this a 2.75. It wasn't good. She went to a village to not be found, but left clues for him to find her, and then got mad when he found her. Like, it was so dumb, and I did not like this book. I don't think I will ever like this book, so I'm never rereading it, but I do own it. And then I decided that I wanted to reread The Chronicles of Narnia and actually finish the series. So I did that this year. I had read, which ones? The Magician's Nephew, The Horse and His Boy, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Prince Caspian, and part of The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. More than I thought I did, actually. So I reread The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Prince Caspian. Both of these books are 3 stars. Then I read the rest of The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and honestly, I read most of it. This was also 3 stars. And then I read The Silver Chair and The Last Battle. did not like that they did not follow the same characters. That's the first problem for me. Didn't really like that, and these books weren't that good. So these are both 2-star books for me. I don't know. I didn't love them. I have more C.S. Lewis books that I will probably read. His fantasy just didn't hit it for me. And honestly, now that I think about it, I don't think older fantasy is my kind of thing. But whatever. I will be reading other books eventually that have that kind. So doing that. Then I have one for the Murphys, which I actually found. I got this for like $3 or $4. But this is also by Linda Mullally Hunt. I do not like the cover. I like the other one better. This was another 3-star book because I did really enjoy this book. I won't lie about that. Again, 3 stars, where it's kind of heartbreaking, and that makes me really sad how it ends. But, you know, I get it, and yeah. Be recommending this to people, and I can obviously see how people would love this book, but for me it's just a 3-star. Then I read The Kingdom. This book put me in a book slump, and I'm mad at it for that. Honestly, I was so excited to read this book because it sounded so cool. Like a theme park where all the princesses are robots who like can talk and like have their own brain, but they can't have emotions. But then she like starts getting emotions for a guy, but she's also in a murder trial because people thought that she killed him, and it kept going between like the actual story and the murder trial. Like that sounds so cool, like a mystery, a fantasy, a thriller, a murder, like all of that, and it sounded so cool, but it was honestly a disappointment. So there was that. And then I read The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. For some reason, it did not click that being in a reading slump would affect how I rate these books. So, I did read The Assassin's Blade. This was a 4-star book, and it's because I could tell what was going to happen to one of the characters in this book. And that, like, knowing that kind of makes it hard. But I've read so much fantasy that it was easy enough to, like, not find anything Sarah J. Maas wrote cringy. And I think that's a thing, like, a specific thing for Sarah J. Maas, is you have to be able to be either in a Sarah J. Maas mood or a fantasy mood. And I've heard people say that. So, I'm okay with how I read that. Then I read Throne of Glass. This was a 4-star book. It was good. It was good. I don't know how to explain this. I got confused without getting confused. Because obviously this is technically the first book in the series, so I was confused, but I wasn't super confused at the same time, if that makes any sense at all. But yeah, this book was a good book. And then I read Crown of Midnight. Crown of Midnight was a 4.75 stars. I actually read this while working at a camp. Fun fact. So, you know, there was that thought. But it was still, like, it was a good book. I was reading most of it outside. And then I read Heir of Fire. The thing with Heir of Fire is I wasn't in the headspace to read it. And that was a problem. I was reading 3 books at the same time. That was my first problem. So I was reading Heir of Fire and The Alchemist. Heir of Fire, it was a good, I still rated it at 4.5 stars. Like, it's still a high-rated book. It's just not, like, all the way up at the top. The Alchemist was a 3-star. It was a graphic novel. It was $7. This book was $7, but it didn't hit at the level I thought it would. And then I went to PEI, and I read Anne of Green Gables while I was there, as it was. This book is where this sweater is from. But yeah, I do, this book was a 3-star. I was still in a book slump when I read it, which definitely wasn't helpful, but it was a cute book. Then I read Jesus Freaks, which does not have a rating. If you are a Christian, I recommend reading this book. It was a good book. It made me cry a lot. So there's that. But it was a really, really good book. This does not have a rating because it's nonfiction. I really, really, really loved this book though. Then I read Better Than the Movies, which my friend is currently reading, but it was a 5-star book, not like the sobbing, like physical reaction kind of 5-star, but it was a 5-star where it's like, this book is really good. I want to reread it. This is more than a 4-star. It's not a 6-star, but it's like there. Then I read, Redeeming Love, this book. This book had me physically crying. I was on the floor. I was upset. I was angry. Love this book. I will read more books from this author. I actually have a series that I will be getting. But this book is something completely different, and I love it. Then I read The Hobbit. Oh, this book confused me. There was parts that I was laughing. I won't even lie. There were parts that made me actually start laughing, but it wasn't for me. I will be reading the rest of The Lord of the Rings when I'm in a headspace for it, and I was so excited to read it, and I just kind of got let down. But I will be reading the rest of the series at some point. Then I read The Inheritance Games, and I feel like people might be kind of shocked with my stance on this series, but whatever. So first I read The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Oh, this book was a 4-star. It was good. Don't get me wrong. I actually liked it. I like that the chapters are short. I will be continuing to read all of this author's books because they're good. But I do have that. And then I read The Hawthorne Legacy. Again, another 4 stars. I liked the plot. I liked the story, so it was good. And then The Final Gambit. This book is a 3-star book. And I can't even blame it on the fact that I forgot what was happening because I read it immediately after the first 2. And I think the reason why is because the plot reminded me so much of book 2, minus one character who was just kind of annoying the whole time. 2 characters who were kind of annoying the whole time. I don't know. It was just too much, and I did not love it. So that's that. And then I read We Were Liars. This book makes me angry on a certain level, and I don't know how to explain. Like, this book actually made me upset. I did not like it. My friend told me to read it, so I read it for her. No, did not like this hardly at all. It was so dumb. She forgot her memories, and I was so confused, and it honestly just kind of made me sad at the end, and I was so angry at one of the characters the whole time. And then I realized, oh, that character's actually right. But we didn't know. It made me so mad. The ending, I was like, oh, that's just kind of sad. I don't like this book. So, we'll not be reading Family of Liars. So, I think that's the next one. Anyway, won't be reading it, so it doesn't really matter. Then I reread How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. Honestly, I bought books, and I really wanted to read them, so while waiting, I read this. This book honestly just kind of made me sad. Like, I just want to go back and reread this whole series. So it kind of made me sad to just go in and read this book. But I will be next year, and there will be a video for that. Or this year, I guess. And there will be a video for that. So I have this. And then I have The Stolen Heir, which I actually bought online. Which is what I was waiting for. A giant book order from Book Outlet. Oh, this book. Like, I love this book. It's a 5-star book, but it's not the same kind of 5-star that The Cruel Prince is, because that's 6-star. I thought it would be higher rated, honestly. I was kind of shocked. But, whatever. I do have that. Then I have Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This was a 3-star. Like, I wish it was higher, but it was only 3 stars. So, there's that. It was kind of slow to get through, but whatever. And then I read Siege and Storm. This was so slow to get through. This put me in a book slump. I couldn't do it. So it was 3 stars. I'm not reading the third one. It will be in a video, but I'm not doing it right now. Then I have A Christmas Carol, which I read every year. Honestly, it is just a 3-star book, but I have been reading this every year since I can remember, so I have that. And then I went in my sister's room and found a really random book and was like, I'm gonna read that. This has happened twice. So I read Clementine Fox and the Great Island Adventure. This is the graphic novel. It was funny. I will give it that. It was funny. It was cute. I think this is good for kids. Like, obviously it's a kid's book. It was cute. Anyway, this was a 2-star for me, but it was cute. I liked it, but not like, there's a reason why it's 2 stars. I just don't know how to explain it. And then I read The Best Worst Christmas Pageant Ever, which is I've read every year. I like this. This book is cute. I actually really like this book. It's small. It's quick to read. The pages don't have that many. Like, this book is just actually adorable. So I have that. And then I took another book from my sister. I actually took this because I had read like all of the books. I just wanted to read the rest, like more of them, because it was cute. It was fun. I needed to hit my reading goal. So yeah, I read this. It was cute. It's a 3-star as per usual with these books, but yeah, I have that. I recommend it to literally anyone who is still in middle school or elementary school. Those books are really, really good for that age. And then I read Queen of Shadows. This is actually my most recent read. And I'm going to make people mad when I say this. This was a 4-star, maybe 4.5. And I know I'm going to make people mad. But honestly, the second half is why I'm debating rating it 4.5. Because the second half was really good. I got out of a book slump during that. Because I learned to read and knit at the same time, and I was really proud of myself. So I read a lot to keep up that skill. I probably still will be doing that eventually. But the first half wasn't super... Obviously there were parts, but yeah. Anyway, I have that. And then the book that I technically haven't read yet, so I don't have a rating for it, but I will have read by the time this video goes up, is Vengeance of the Pirate Queen. I got this for Christmas, and I'm gonna read it, and I'm so excited. Also, it has sprayed edges. But this will be in a haul video that's coming up soon, because it's like a collective haul. But yeah, I have Vengeance of the Pirate Queen, which will have been read, but I'm actually excited to read this, and I will put the thing up right here on what I read it, and if it's not there, it will be in the description box of what I read this book, or rated this book. So that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.